today we've got a fun one. I'm Stephen Human, welcome to Superhuman Customs. You all know that I am a Superman fan. Dyed in the wool, true blue, through and through. I love Superman, and I am excited for the new movie coming out next month from James Gunn. And this figure is just hitting shelves right now, and I got him. This is the standard figure, and we're gonna make him a little bit more like the deluxe figure. So we're gonna remove this cape, we're gonna put a cloth cape on, we're gonna highlight just a dry brush and highlight some of his details. He has lots of details in here, and when they're highlighted, they'll look a little bit more real. I'm very excited. Now, there's been a lot of controversy because of this suit. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the S. I know a lot of people really love it, but I'm much more of a classicist. I love the classic S, but I've loved the trailers. And the thing that, people have really hated this suit. It's gotten a lot of hate online. I mean, you can't see a comment or a picture of the toy or anything online without laughing emojis. People will just put the laughy emoji because they hate the suit. I think that's the point, because I've collected comics for a long time. There's a lot of great comics. I know they're pulling from Action Comics number 775 and from All-Star Superman for this movie. And both of those make a point of talking about how Superman is not stylish. That is the point, that he's not stylish, and it doesn't matter because it's what he does, not what he wears. And I think they're gonna be playing into that. So I think that the suit and the fact that it is a little bit less stylish, I think is gonna be a point in the movie. At least I hope so. So let's have some fun. It's gonna be pretty simple other than the cape, and we're gonna just make this guy look pretty cool. We're actually gonna add a curl too. So let's dive right in. Let's have some fun.
All right, while I was getting the cape ready, I have decided to do something unprecedented. I am going to bring together the Snyder-verse and the Gunn-verse. There's a lot of hate there. There's a lot of anger. We are gonna do cloth capes for both these guys at once, and it's gonna be awesome.
Now, I love Henry Cavill Superman. I think that he was an amazing Superman, and I loved him. In fact, when he was in Count of Monte Cristo in 2000, I was like, that guy's gotta be Superman. And he eventually became Superman, which is awesome, makes me feel good. But I also love Zack Snyder's movies, but there were some problems there. He wasn't the right guy to build a universe. I'm sorry if that pisses you guys off, but he wasn't. And so I am excited for Gunn's universe. We'll see where it goes. Maybe it'll be garbage, I don't know. But I think it's gonna be cool to have this Superman with a cloth cape and this Superman with a cloth cape and make them both look awesome. I've already customized this guy over the years, and I love how he looks. Let's make him that much cooler. Now, you saw how I drew out on this one. We're using the plate as the template. And then when you're cutting, one of these is the best way to do it. And you want to push hard and slow. These are incredibly sharp, so you want to be careful with it because it'll go right through it one time with no problem, just like that, if you go slow. And so just move around the edges, find where you marked it, and then be sure not to click these buttons because then it will drop, which I've done numerous times during these cape constructions. And so just be careful not to push that button because it'll snap. And also, these are incredibly sharp, like I said, so don't rub them over your hands. Then what I do is I go to the center and I simply cut in. I cut it nice and thin because I'm not sure how it's going to fold every time, and so I don't want to make it too big. I've done it in the past where it's too big. And I go down far enough so that the pleats and everything will look good, and then I just kind of cut in a V at the bottom. And that will give me my space for their neck and for it to fold over their back, but not too big. That's the great thing, is that obviously if this doesn't end up being big enough, this cut right here, then I can make it bigger once I get it on the figure. But if I make it too big, then that's not gonna work. But that should do pretty good for a Superman.
They've been soaking, they're nice and hot. Let's pull off some capes.
Cape is off, and now the time comes for our dry brush. Got this. My gosh, I always get texts, man. Always. I've not gotten a text all day. All right, anyway, I've just got a little bit on the brush, and I've dusted it off, and I'm just hitting the edges is all. And as you can see, it's already starting to pick up on the details, which is what we want. He's gonna look so cool. So I'm just gonna do this all over and highlight this Superman. One thing I did with
the Henry Cavill Superman head is that I add a little bit of shade to it and then went through with some flesh tone to just give it a little bit nicer look. So I'm gonna do the same thing with our good friend David Cornsweet here. Just gonna hit some few details and then kind of pat them so that we can just give him a little bit more life to the figure. I've gotten to where I've enjoyed playing with the flesh tones a little bit, and you've seen me do it a little bit on some of them, and I've gotten a little bit better. It just needs to be nice and subtle. You don't want too much, but enough, and he will really take on just some life. So that's what I'm gonna do. And he already looks better, a little bit more lifelike. Since we're just playing around a little bit, I'm gonna actually add some gold to his belt buckle, just to make it so that it has a little bit different texture than the rest. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I've never done anything with the belt over here. I've yellowed up these. I'm gonna do it here. Lighten up Cavill a little bit. That's what I did. I took metallic and I dry brushed it. This was like, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. There's a video on it when my cabinet broke. But yeah, adding some of these fun details, lighten him up. I always felt that that was the problem with Cavill's Superman suit, is that it was almost a purple. It was so dark. And lightening it up, I think, made a huge difference. Like in Black Adam, it looked amazing. All light and colorful. And so that was obviously missing from the earlier movies. Put a little bit of gold in here. Yeah, just enough. Now with Henry Cavill's head, I added some milliput for a curl because I really like that curl. What I'm gonna do here is that I'm working on another character and I cut off a bunch of weird things. And so we're gonna glue this to David Cornsweet's head. I'm gonna paint it black first and then glue it in place so that he can have a more pronounced curl as well. Because for me, Superman's got a curl and he looks cooler with it. So that's what we're gonna do.
Now we just need to glue it in place, not too bad. I am learning to make the edges longer because the length is good, but here on the edges they get a little bit short. So I'm learning some good stuff. Obviously I can flare it out and make it look good, but next time I do capes, I'm gonna pay attention to that a little bit more. It's all a learning process, folks. There we go, 2 Supermen for the price of 1. Happy how these guys turned out. I learned a lot about the capes, obviously, and next time I'll lengthen them out a little bit more and I think they'll look better. But you can see that, you know, they still look pretty great and they're gonna look awesome on the shelf. And it just adds a lot to both of these. Let's go ahead and take a look at the before and after on our Gunn Superman. Obviously having the details, having the extra curl, giving it just a little bit more life, and suddenly they just become more real, just like they are in the movies. I'm excited to see the new movie. I hope you guys are too. And I hope it's awesome. That's all I can say. I hope it is awesome. Well, I'm Stephen Human. Thank you so much for watching. And I appreciate all your guys' comments and tips. And hopefully I'm getting better over time. It's been over 3 years since I started doing this, and I've done a lot of figures. And I never would have experimented with capes before, and now here I am doing it, and it's definitely changing the game for me and for the figures I'm working on. Thank you guys again. Keep watching, keep customizing, and I'll see you next time.